Sorry, it's recorded. Rob, how's it going, man? Welcome to Breakthrough Society.
Doing well, Irvin. I'm glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
For sure, man. Thanks for taking time out of your day and be here.
Hey, I'm here to serve, man. Let me know how I can serve best.
Oh yeah, man. So, I mean, just real quick, just kind of give like the audience an overview of what you do right now. What do you currently do?
Sure. So I'm an investment manager, a financial life planner, it's kind of a life coach and financial advisor in one. And I do a lot of work with some nonprofits, one in particular, Discover Yourself Now. Very excited about that one. Um, Focusing on bringing together mindfulness, character development, and financial literacy to at-risk youth in schools through both workshops and curriculum development.
Dude, so I've never like really heard anybody be in that kind of career. Is that something like unique or
The financial education side or the like financial life planning side?
yeah, the life planning?
Yeah, so it's what good financial advising should be. Uh, a lot of times, some people just call themselves financial planner, um, and they do life planning. But just from a kind of a way to stand out, I like to include that in there. Good financial planning done right is good life planning, where basically it's um, what are your goals, going deep on your specific goals, not for an individual like you, but for you in particular. And how do we take those goals and create a financial architecture to help support that? Um, and so at the end of the day, it's financial planning with a deep emphasis on you really understanding what your goals are.
Mm.
So
So
I'm not unique out here. In fact, there's
yeah,
registered life planning. That is a designation that you could get. There's schools starting to kind of develop around life planning as well as good, solid financial planning. But it's certainly an exciting space to be in. That's for sure.
yeah. So like, how were you raised, man? How did you end up going into that industry?
Well, so I'm actually third generation in the financial services field. So my grandfather was with Dean Witter Reynolds back in the day. My father started with Dean Witter, Morgan Stanley. Then he became an independent financial advisor. So I got to see that model. Um, my parents did a great job of being really present with us. And, especially in the 80s, there was kind of that divorce between work life and home life. So it wasn't until much later that I realized I didn't actually know what my dad did. Um,
Yeah.
and then by the time I found out, I'm like, man, that would have been great to know earlier. Like, that's really cool. Um, so it's been something that I've seen modeled, and modeled in different ways. And so when I got into the financial advising industry, I found myself hooked up with a firm where I could actually be on the coaching side. I could coach a bunch of financial advisors on a specific strategy. And what that allowed me to do is allowed me to actually see a bunch of different business models and a bunch of different ways that financial advisors run their practices. And I could kind of pick and choose what I wanted to get from where. So that really helped. I love helping people. I love people, and in some ways, financial advising, financial planning, is like the ultimate liberal arts. So I went to school actually, and got an emphasis in English literature, poetry, and philosophy, which pretty much qualifies you to just go to grad school. And I'm sorry, not philosophy, psychology. I studied a lot of philosophy, but it doesn't qualify you to do anything. It just qualifies you to
Yeah.
go to grad school, basically. And I didn't want to do that. Wanted to get married, so um, I decided my first job out of college was going to be helping people get jobs. So my first job that I got was helping people get jobs, and I had good experience because I had just gotten a job myself.
Yeah.
So it was social work. I was working with a private company that worked with the County of Orange, helping people who get onto welfare get back into the workforce through job interview training and such. But I found while I was doing that, I spent more time helping them set future budgets for themselves and future financial goals. I realized if I really want to meld my love of helping people, of psychology, of helping the overall community I was in, um, I was going to be better served working with some of my natural proclivities, which was helping people create kind of a firm financial architecture beneath the life that they want.
So how old were you whenever you realized, or whenever you found what it was that your dad was doing, and you're like, oh shit, I like this.
Oh, I mean, that was college, late high
Okay.
school, college. I kind of knew late high school. And then
Yeah.
it wasn't until maybe senior year going into college that I was like, what exactly do you do when I know you go to work, um,
Yeah.
and I know you're a stockbroker, but as a kid, you think maybe a stock is kind of like a sock. So we still really weren't quite sure. Um, and it was kind of the deal at that time. Like, you don't talk about work at home, you don't talk about home at work.
Hmm.
Um, and he did a great job of that. Um, but uh, it wasn't until later that I kind of understood a little bit more, and then saw how the world of psychology really kind of melds into that and life planning, and realized like, oh my gosh, everything is in this realm of financial planning. So it's been something I've been focused on ever since.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I found out like what my dad was doing because he started taking me to work when I was 10. So I knew like very early on. So,
What did he
just
do?
electrical.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so he still does electrical, right? He just like I moved, well, Austin, where I live now, is about 5 hours away from home. So he still has his business, back home, and I have mine. So we're still separate, you know what I'm saying? But he still helps me out. I still help him out
So
every
you're
once in a while.
multi-generational too.
Yeah, yeah, second
That's
generation.
I like it. I like it. That's cool. But you're in
Yeah,
the cool place for the new generation, Austin.
Austin. So everybody's moving.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, but I never knew, like, I never really thought that I was going to keep, like the electrical, like still be in the electrical industry, growing up and stuff like that. I thought about it, but I really wasn't sure. And then, like, whenever I found it on these podcasts, right, that we were talking about prior to hitting record here, he kind of just cleared my mind and just asked, like, he led me to ask myself, like, dude, what do you really want to do?
Mm.
So like
Yeah.
I had my business, but I was like trying to figure out some other avenues to go into, and I'm like what am I doing, kind of thing. So that just kind of led me to like my passion of helping people, right? Like not necessarily, or yeah, help my clients, right? Like with their electrical, right? Make sure their house is safely and well done, but also like help shape the industry in a way that people don't see the electrical field as, like, oh, that guy didn't go to college, so now he's working as an electrician, kind of thing.
Oh
Like,
man,
just
dude, I love the electrical field. In fact, one of my core targets that I talk with are power linemen, guys
Mhm.
that usually they're journeymen or union workers, and they work not like football power linemen, but guys that work on
Yeah,
power lines, because they're just like everybody else, man. No one teaches you financial literacy. No one teaches you what to do when you're not making money, but even more so, they don't teach you what to do when you are making money.
yeah,
So linemen and electrical workers, that's a very ripe field for talking about. financial planning, investment management, insurance strategies, financial literacy, because you got these guys that travel around in fifth wheelers and RVs with their families. Maybe they're in their family, they haven't been making a lot of money in the past, and now they're making 200,000, 500,000 a year. And just as not having money is a financial trauma, so is going from not making a lot of money for most of your life to making a lot of money. That's a trauma of sorts. It's a trauma most people would wish upon themselves, of course,
Yeah.
but it's a trauma nonetheless. And you can do some stupid stuff before you get your head screwed on straight. Um,
For
so
sure.
I love the electrical trade, man. They're like every dude I've met in that trade has been a good dude, um, and usually a family person as well. That's how I met them,
Yeah.
was traveling around RV parks.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like with the trades, it's like a lot of family, right? Like they go passed down generation to generation.
Yeah, and that
And
gets to one of my whys is like, I want to break generational self-limiting beliefs. That's actually one of the goals of our nonprofit is helping to break generational self-limiting, self-defeating beliefs around yourself, your community, and particularly your relationship to money.
yeah, dude, that's good. And tell me about because you said right now that you were jumping from RV to RV, dude. Like I know you were living in the school bus, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we spent. So I've got first off a little bit about myself. I've got 5 kids. In 3 weeks, we're expecting baby number 6.
Well,
And if that's not crazy enough, we spent 3 years living and traveling full time around the United States in a school bus that we turned into an RV. We started the trip with 3 kids, traveled around for 3 years, gave birth to a kid out on a hippie commune in the backwoods of Tennessee. So that popped us up to 4 kids. And then we lived in stationary in San Diego for a few years. That's where we had baby number 5. Um, so we had gotten the harebrained idea that we wanted to move away from Orange County, but we didn't quite know where. And so we thought, well, let's travel around for a few months and see. And Austin was one of the places we looked at. Um, Austin's cool, man. I like it. But
yeah,
for the same price, I could have gotten a house out in North San Diego County. And there's
yeah,
the ocean out there and some family. So that's why we went stationary in San Diego for a bit. But we decided if we were going to travel around and we were going to have our family, we wanted something safe. So an RV is designed to be very lightweight, which means it's very gas efficient, but it also means it's made of very lightweight materials. Um, a school bus is designed to take a hit, roll over, and all 72 kids come toddling out the back. So we took a school bus, um, made it into a living situation with running water, bunk beds for the kids. It's really nice. In fact, go to my wife's Instagram is Contented Nomads. So at Contented Nomads. Um, we don't really keep up with that very much since we stopped traveling. But if you scroll back through, you can see some pictures of the bus and stuff in there. But it was fun, man. It was fun. It was interesting being in what's traditionally kind of a white collar job, investment manager, um, but kind of traveling around and staying at Bureau of Land Management, BLM land, meeting up with trades guys in RV parks that are traveling around as well. Felt kind of like a white collar gypsy
yeah.
going around. It was fun.
So what made you the decision to like first say, well, let's go travel like this for 3 years?
Well, yeah, good question. I'd started it. So we knew we didn't want to live in Orange County. We didn't know where we wanted to live. And so we were like, well, let's just travel around for a few months, go to a few hot spots and see what we like. And then we discovered after some significant breakdowns. Um, by the way, like just as an aside, a lot of people go, "Oh my gosh, you were able to live tiny and travel. That must have been so cheap." I say, "No, those are 3 points of a triangle that don't touch. You can either live tiny and travel, you can live tiny and live cheaply. You can't do all three at once,
Yeah.
especially in a 30-year-old school bus." So we had a number of breakdowns. We had a number of very fun adventures, and we realized, oh, we've actually built the skill of living on the road. We look at it as self-growth for ourselves instead of a challenge. We look at it as family bonding instead of, oh my gosh, get me away from all these kids. And we realize if you deal with, living tiny helps bring up your triggers. A lot of times we have a lot of personal triggers that we can kind of negotiate around because we literally have the space to negotiate around. Um, but in a tiny space, everything's right here. And so you either can choose to deal with your triggers or you can just choose to be kind of pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
And so we realized, like, through that lens, there's a lot of gold to be gleaned from continuing to do this. Plus, we had a pretty good skill set of being able to live and travel tiny, deal with emergencies when they happened. And so we really kind of uh, decided, well, let's run this thing out a bit more. Um, yes, let's keep traveling to find a cool place to call home, but let's take some time and actually just enjoy traveling. And so we did. It's very fun. I
Yeah.
did some coaching for financial advisors at the time. I ran my little small investment practice. I was able to help out a financial advisor that was a friend for a number of those years. Um, did some freelance writing here and there. I mean, kind of cobbled together an income so that we could keep doing it.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Like before, like in the past years, like I've always had that like like I've always been interested in like turning a school bus or turning a van into one of those like things that you can just live out of, you know what I'm saying? Just like travel like how y'all been doing.
Yeah, it's
It's pretty
cool. It's
insane.
hard. Um, a lot of times it gets glamorized on Instagram,
Yeah.
mostly with bikini shots on the beach. But I don't look good in a bikini, so we never did those shots. It's hard, but it was definitely worth it. There was a lot of gold to be gleaned from it. A lot of family gold, a lot of personal development gold. Like it was good.
Yeah. And I think I mean it's way harder like whenever you have kids and
It is,
like
but that's one reason why we wanted specifically to keep doing it, and we would go to trade shows, um, van life meetups or uh, tiny house festivals and stuff, and we
Mhm.
specifically wanted to go to show that like your life doesn't end with kids. The adventure doesn't end
Yeah.
with kids. They're not little balls and chains. Like, train them up in the way that they should go, and if that includes flexibility and adventure, that includes flexibility and adventure, man. We oftentimes were the only ones with kids, and we were able to talk to and inspire a number of families to do what we did.
Yeah. And the fact that like they're that breaks like that whole generational mindset where like they already like you brought them along the journey so they already know what's possible as in like you can still travel and work and have fun and do all these things so whenever they're older they know they can go out and do that too kind
Yeah.
of thing, and they're not like stuck in this bubble where it's like, no, you can't do that, or you gotta work, here in this place and stuff like that. They're
Yeah.
not stuck.
And it's been interesting too because I mean, right now I'm at a coffee shop, so I apologize for the blender sound in the background.
It's all good.
Um, I do a lot of work from home. Like my kids see what I do, they know what I do, they know that working hard is important. Even though I spend a lot of time with them, I kind of mix family life and business life. Like it's just my life. Um, it's our life as a
For
family that we
sure.
do. So the kids celebrate when I'm able to help someone or bring on a new client to help. Um, and it gets them kind of jazzed about making money and how to start a business and how to help people. And so that's been cool to watch too.
Yeah, dude, that's so awesome, dude. That's like now when I had kids, like I'm gonna look forward to doing something like that because like if I can work off of my laptop, like I definitely would. And I'd probably
Yeah.
be doing that thing where it's just like just traveling, just hopping to city to city kind of thing, just working off of my laptop.
Yeah, it's cool. It's super cool. I can't recommend it enough. I
Yeah,
also can't warn against it enough. It's really hard.
yeah, I
Um,
bet.
but it's like all hard things, it's worth it on the other
Yeah,
side.
yeah. Dude, so I know you mentioned a little while ago that you would go to some trade shows. Did you go to any electrical trade shows?
So this year actually I'm going to my first I meant living tiny trade shows.
Okay.
Um, but this year I'm actually gonna go to my first lineman rodeo in
Ooh,
Kansas City, Missouri. I'm psyched.
yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Because I mean that's part of it is like if
Yeah,
you're helping a target market, you gotta
helping.
be in their world. But more than that, like you gotta know their world. And so I've heard about these rodeos all the time. I'm so excited to go.
Yeah, there's another one that I went in 20. Me and my dad went in 2019, the Nika. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we went 2019 in Vegas, and then they canceled last year's,
yeah.
and then they have this October in, I believe it's Nashville. So we might end up going
Oh, cool.
to
All right. I don't know. I might go to that too, man. That'd be
that.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just wondering. I was just wondering maybe that was it, the one that you been to.
No, no, it was a lot of uh schooly shows and tiny house shows, really to kind of talk to people very interested in it about the positives. I felt like I was the only guy talking about the negatives, but I think that's important.
Yeah,
Um,
you need to put them out there.
oh yeah, because dude, when your whole house and everything that you have and love is broken down on the side of the road, and you've got smoke coming out of your radiator because your water pump exploded and shot into your radiator, and your dog runs out and gets hit by a car, and you got to turn around to the kids and make a game plan and give them some certainty really fast, like that's a skill set, man. It's tough.
Yeah,
It's a lot of pressure.
yeah. You're teaching people out there about like the financial side of it, but then you're also like, hey, you need to be prepared if you go on the road.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude. So like, what now? Like whatever like you're doing right now. Like, what do you have planned for the future? Like growing it or expanding?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about our nonprofit, Discover Yourself Now. We've got a great team together, a great leadership board, advisory board put together to do immersive workshops in schools, to do long-term curriculum series that can fit into different schools, and then we've got kind of a publishing side where we're going to be looking at how do we make financial literacy exciting and accessible to kids and teach literacy and reading at the same time. So I'm really excited about that project and growing that project into the future. And then for the financial planning side, just continuing to work and expand into kind of America's trades. It's the trades that kind of build America, that have built America, that can continue to build America, and most of them are completely underserved by the financial services industry. And it's a real shame. I mean, the first lineman I met with was like 29 at the time, making good money, and was smart enough to like say, I want to own X amount of real estate. I want to have, you know, X number of cash flowing businesses. And I was able to kind of like, we were able to work together towards that. The second guy I met was mid 50s, had been making over 300,000 a year for the past 8 years, and had less than $8,000 saved up to his name. And he had 7 kids.
Well,
And that's when I was like, this group needs help.
yeah.
I want to talk with this group.
And is it just like, it's just linemen that you go towards? You don't go towards any like the like residential electricians kind of thing?
I
Like
mean, I
wherever
could if I had
the field that I am.
if I had maybe a contact in that field.
Yeah, I know a
But
couple.
you know how the trades are, man. It can be a pretty tight knit group, but there's an inside, there's definitely an outside, and until you're on the inside, you're definitely on the outside.
Yeah.
And so I've uh, been working with linemen long enough that it's kind of like word of mouth spreads, and so I'm kind of pushing into that. But dude, electrical workers of all sorts, electrical workers of America,
Yeah.
I can help out.
Yeah, that's cool. Dude, I have a long-term vision, like how I was saying earlier, of changing the industry.
Yeah,
Um, but like I wanna incorporate like fitness and personal development in it,
yeah,
right? So help all the electricians get mentally and physically fit, because that's
financially
something
fit
that they
too.
lack. Yeah, yeah, dude, that's and
For
I know,
sure.
like you know that that's something that they lack. Especially like like their mindset.
Yeah.
But financially, how you're saying, dude, you add financially fit in there, and it's like it's game changer.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, look, you work better when you got goals you're aiming towards. You don't make mistakes when you're not losing sleep at night because you're behind on your bills because you just can't figure out where the money's coming in and where the money's going out.
Yeah,
Um, and you start to see yourself as a boss, as a player in the game when you've got certain goals that you're hitting on a financial field. Like financial mindset and mind. A lot of times people will just focus on improving their mindset, but not, and that's fantastic. You need to do that, but they don't pair that with any sort of financial literacy. And so you can feel in your head like a freaking boss and you're making more income, but you're still in the same place financially. Because we have these financial thermostats that we're set to, that sometimes our mindset can go up here, but our financial stories, some of our hiccups that we have from our past of, oh, this is who I am in this family, that can stay regulated down here. Bring your results down.
yeah, dude. We definitely need to talk offline.
Yeah, man. That's exciting. That's
Yeah,
exciting, man. Because, hey, you know what? Like you want to transform your industry, I want to do the same
yeah,
in mine. Too often, the financial services industry is either it's a bunch of old dinosaurs um, that operate in huge plushy offices that's designed to, I guess, intimidate people. I think it's supposed to impress people, but also intimidate people. Or um, you've got people playing by old rules or they just want to talk finances. They just want to talk about the money part. But the problem is, like, you don't get to know, like, no one actually knows what their financial goals are, because oftentimes we're borrowing other people's financial goals. You know, I want to make 10,000 a month. Where'd you get that from? It just sounds nice. Okay, so you heard it from someone else, and you don't actually have financial goals of your own.
Yeah.
And so why are we going to create a financial plan of, I want to have $1 million by age, 40, 2 million by age 60? It's like, okay, this is made up. Like, we got to dive deep a little bit here. How did your dad talk about money? How did your mom talk about money? Not only how did they talk about it, how did they act that was either in line with it or not in line with it? Because all of that is in your head. Those are money scripts that you've got. And those money scripts are floating around in there. Sometimes they serve you, sometimes they don't. And sometimes they're contradicting each other, but you don't know. Like, an example from my life, my dad was building his business and had been a good fiscal, budgeter. And so I kind of interpreted and had this little story in my head of a good man, budgets every penny and is fiscally conservative with his money. Well, also during that time growing up, my dad's business started to do well. And we would go out to dinners and we would go on vacations and stuff. So the other story I got in my head was a man treats his family and kids to treats and to good stuff. Well, these two stories, they're not necessarily in conflict once you're aware of both of them. But if you're not aware of what your own internal money stories are, you spend a lot of time going like, okay, I'm going to budget. I also want to blow it on this really nice dinner and treat my wife to something. And then you're stuck in kind of this cycle of guilt, shame, motivation, unable to execute until you kind of bring these stories to light and realize each of them serve a purpose at a different time. They're not in conflict with each other. But just like any sort of psychology, any sort of mindset work, we have stories in our head that we're not aware of. And a lot of those have to do with money. And not a lot of people talk about that.
For sure, dude. That's a conversation that nobody has.
Yeah. And it's one that it's rife for self-sabotage.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So, man, so just so like I actually like we've been like free flowing, right? I told you I don't have anything script, but I do have a canned question that I always ask all my guests at the end.
Perfect.
Yeah, but real quick before I ask you the question,
Yeah.
just let everybody know where they can find you and everything you're doing.
Sure. So you can find me at linemanfinancial.com. I have not done a fantastic job of my industry. We don't do a lot of social media stuff. It's a little suspect. Thank you, Bernie Madoff. But yeah, you can find me at linemanfinancial.com. On Instagram, I don't talk about finances at all. It's just my personal Instagram, Rob Schannep, SCHANNEP, and LinkedIn. You can find me there.
What about your nonprofit? Or is it the same?
Oh, dYneducation.com.
Cool.
So if you're in Texas and you've got connections to the education field, man, I want to talk to you. We're in Arizona, California. I'm up in Idaho right now, but we've got a few Texas connections up in Dallas that we're pushing into, and Austin would be a cool market too.
In the education field, okay.
Yeah.
I can ask. We have a Facebook group of Austin RT members.
Yeah.
So I can ask on there to see who's in the financial field, and if there is, I'll connect you with them.
Education field.
Education, yeah. My bad.
All right, man. What's
Oh, yeah.
the question? Hit me.
Yeah. So a lot of people, most people have a whole bunch of breakthrough moments. So what do you consider one of your most impactful breakthrough moments?
In business?
Anything?
Ooh, anything. We'll keep it business.
Okay.
Um, but like all things in business, it's still personal. The
Personal.
old thing of, hey man, it's not personal, it's just business. Everything's. It, if you're doing business right, everything's personal. So one of
Yeah.
mine was probably one of my biggest breakthroughs was owning who I was in my field. I am not the guy that is working with $100 million clients or large pensions and 401ks. Um, and I always had a little chip on my shoulder that I was young. I lived in a school bus like a vagabond. Um, I like spending a lot of time with my family. Um, and and I want to be massively successful in my business. And I had an image of someone I was not that I was trying to be. And when I owned, they're like, no, I'm a school bus dwelling, family first, father figure in my family's life, and a financial advisor. Um, it that sort of integration was a big breakthrough moment for me. And as soon as I could own who I was instead of who I was trying to be, um, I was able to get those results much quicker than what I was doing before. I was acting out of integrity. I was acting outside of integrity before. As soon as I was acting inside of integrity, my results took off.
It's awesome, dude. That's gold right there.
All
Thanks
right,
for sharing that.
happy for it.
For sure,
Well,
man. Cool. So, what was that?
oh, I was just gonna say thanks a bunch for this. This has been fun.
For sure, man. Yeah, great conversation. Drop a lot of value dropped on here.
Good, good. I'm glad, and it was good to connect too. Like you following your father's footsteps, not in the same way at all, I'm sure, but in the same industry, and you're seeing how it can serve and help people. Same over here. That's a neat connection.
Yeah, dude, for sure. We're definitely gonna talk online about this stuff.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Hey,
You have a
thanks
good
a
one.
bunch. Thanks, Breakthrough Society.
For sure, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too.